Hello and welcome to the daily coverage from the Reykjavik Open. We're here with, well, probably the tournament winner, Fabiano Caruana. As it stands, we have one game left. It's Ivan Sokolov against Boris Avrukh, and at the moment it looks drawish. So if they finish like it looks in a draw, Fabiano will win the tournament. Should we just have a look at the game? Start with having a look at the position. Fabiano, this looks like a draw now.
Yeah, I can't imagine any side winning this. Actually, maybe black is a bit more comfortable. I mean, with this blockade, it's
it's hard to see him lift this blockade of the knight on d6.
Yeah, okay, king d4 and, well, king e5 isn't really a threat, in fact. Yeah, I guess he wants to play king c5. Well, black could think about rook f2 here. And in case of king c5 or king e5, there's always checks on c2 or e2.
Yeah.
And if rook g7, black can just play rook f7
rook
again.
f7, yeah.
Yeah,
and
maybe
if you exchange rooks, then it's...
Yeah, if exchange rooks, then black doesn't even need the h-pawn. He can just have a blockade.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm guessing it should be a draw.
Okay. Before we look at your game, let's have a quick look at some results from the final round. Chaparino and Navarra, they played a relatively quick draw. I think I saw Chaparino was playing pretty fast. It looks like.
Yeah, it looked like he was prepared, but I expected him to win actually, because it seemed like he was prepared and he was up in exchange, but somehow he didn't manage to make anything out of it. Yeah,
after it was a Berlin defense, and after like 20 moves, he hadn't used any time on the clock, so obviously he was well prepared. Stinkerson drew against Krivorutsko.
Yeah, this game I didn't really see. I mean, I thought white was a bit better after the opening, but I didn't see after that too much.
And, well, Gwaine had, well, a decent tournament. He was finishing on 7 points. And unfortunately for our Indian friend, he ruined his chances for GM norm. He had to get a draw, I believe. Simon, our main commentator, he's still playing. That's why I'm here. By the way, I'm Ingvar Jóhannesson, if you... And, well, yeah, Henrik got 7, so Henrik and Héðinn are the top Icelanders with 7. Well, we had some IM norms in this tournament. Einar Hjalti Jensen from Iceland, he had a good tournament. Gained 33 rating points, and even though the rating performance says 24-15, his first round opponent is got up, so he got a norm. And also, yeah, Teddy Coleman from USA, I believe he got an IM norm.
He told me he got his third norm. Yeah.
It's his third norm?
Yeah.
And has he already gotten 2400, do you know?
No, he's about 30 points away or so.
Okay. Yeah, so he just needs to get his rating to 2400 to be awarded the title. So guys, did you see any upsets today worth talking about? Nothing shocking.
Well, let's have a quick look at Fabiano's game.
Yeah, let's do that. So here it is. Should I just use a mouse or keyboard? Doesn't matter.
Actually, I prefer to see it from black side.
So Fabiano is black against Hou Yifan.
Yep. And I decided on the Spanish. It was a choice
let's just go
Spanish or Sicilian.
Over the situation before the game. She was half a point behind you.
Yeah.
And so she had to go for the win to win the tournament.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to see how it went. I mean, if I got chances, I would play for a win, because of course there was many players under me who could catch me if I made a draw.
Exactly.
But of course, the draw isn't a bad result.
So let's go on.
So I played this line many times recently, a couple of times in Waikansei, and I think I had all draws, so not so bad.
Yeah, isn't this the line that Shirov usually plays?
Yeah, this is Shirov's favorite line. played h3, which is a kind of unusual move. But in fact, her idea was just to play bishop e3, transposing into a line which is kind of popular recently. And I even faced it against David Navarra in Reykjavik, which was also a draw. I guess the idea of early h3 is to avoid bishop g4. But I followed my game against Navarra, and she thought for about 10 minutes here and played a new move. Against David, we saw bishop c2, queen b8, and a3. And I was about equal in a few moves. So I'm not sure if she was prepared. She played a new move, but she thought...
She thought for 10 minutes, so probably
yeah, maybe
she was improvising.
Or maybe she was prepared and was just checking some details over the board.
Yeah.
But I decided not to play queen b8, like in my game against Navarra, because I didn't like a4.
You said queen c2 in that game, and queen b8?
No, it was bishop c2.
Bishop c2, sorry.
And queen b8. And the idea is queen a7, and he played a3, and it was a5, and okay, it was also a complicated game. Queen b1, and I decided against queen b8. At first it looked very good because I'm playing queen a7 next and attacking d4. But after a4 I didn't really like my position, because obviously I can't play queen a7 because of a b5. And a move like b4 just gives up the c4 square, so it's not very good. And I was looking at take, and knight b4, which looked possible, but I was a bit worried about e5, knight d5, and something like knight e4. My king is a bit exposed, and there's always tactics like bishop h6.
Yeah, some ideas like knight f6 and queen g6 maybe.
Yeah, if the knight moves from d5, there's bishop h6.
Yeah.
So I didn't really want to do this. So I decided to play knight a5, bishop c2, c5. So d5 is kind of forced. And I thought that I had a good position after c4, because I thought if b4 I would play bishop e3, rook e3, knight b7. She should probably play a4. And I can follow up with knight h5, knight f4. And I thought I had a pleasant position. Okay, my only problem in this position is my quite bad knight.
Eventually you'll reroute it some
yeah, hopefully I'll eventually get knight d8, f6, and knight f7. But for the moment I have knight f4 and queen f6 ideas. And her king side is a bit exposed. And there's somewhere there might be a possibility to play a5. And to try to open up the queen side and get my knight to c5. But
you didn't like this?
I didn't like f takes e3 actually.
Okay.
Knight b7 and a4. And I didn't really see what to do on the queen side. And now, of course, knight h5, knight f4 isn't an
idea.
idea.
Double pawn now stops your knight f4 idea.
And I thought she'll play rook f1, queen e1, queen g3. And although I thought my position should be okay here, but at least it's clear that white has pressure and black has no...
You have to suffer a bit.
Yeah, of course, my knight is a really bad piece. And even if I eventually get it back, I have no chances to be better. But maybe objectively I should have gone for this. Because in the game, well, now I have some counterplay based on the c3 pawn, and I also have this idea, which was, of course, what I wanted to do. But the pawn structure is a lot worse now. Obviously, it's better to have a pawn on c4, which restricts her position.
Yeah.
And here she always has c4 ideas, and a6 is a weak pawn. But of course, it's not all bad. I have knight f4 coming, queen f6 is an idea, and there might be queen g6 or g5 or f5, many ideas on the king side. I think she played the correct move, bishop d3, knight f4, bishop f1. You know, just getting solid on the king side. Preparing king h2 and g3. Or c4 is another idea, of course. But basically, I don't have many ideas on the king side anymore because the bishop protects everything. So I played rook f8, which has the idea to play f5. For example, if king h2, I was looking at f5, and I thought, if g3, I have this f takes e4 move, and if knight e4, knight d5, so everything works for me. But I thought she'll probably take on f5, bishop f5, and queen b3. And I thought I'm probably worse here, because g3 is coming next. And if I play something like queen d7, just trying to keep my pieces, my knight on f4, then she'll play c4, and c5 is a threat. And here, it's starting to look very dangerous with knight b6.
And a weak pawn.
And so I wasn't sure if I should go for f5 or if I could play a move like g5, with the idea of g3, knight g6, and I will have some ideas like h5, h4. But of course, it's kind of risky for black, because actually even this h5, h4 isn't necessarily perfect. If she plays g4, and I get my knight on f4, but it doesn't do much, she can try to trade it off.
Yeah, then it's kind of blocked on the king set, and she can play for the queen set.
I mean, the problem with my position is always my knight on b7, and my queenside pawns are very vulnerable after c4. So I think king h2 was probably a good move, giving her an advantage.
Okay.
But she played c4, which also is logical. In general, I mean, she has ideas like rook a3 now, or even taking and just playing against my knight. So I decided that I have to liquidate the pawns, to take bishop c4 into a5. And I thought my position would be good now. I'm, trading off these pawns, and my knight will go to c5, hopefully. But it turns out there's still some concrete problems. So take, knight takes. And of course, the point is if rook a3, rook b8, and I don't have this pin because of her queen on b1. And so I was expecting bishop f1. And I thought I'll play rook b8, queen c2, knight b7. My knight goes to c5, and queen on f6. Queen g6 ideas are also possible, and I thought my position is at least, I should be about equal. But she played a very good move, queen b4, and actually I thought for a long time, and I got into time trouble, and I couldn't really find a clear way for equality. So there was a few moves I looked at. First was knight c6, which pretty much forces rook a8 because her rook on a1 is hanging. Knight b4, rook d8, rook d8. And usually the endgame should be fine for me if I have my knight on c5. But after rook b3, my knight is really in trouble, actually. Rook b8 is probably just losing because I'm pinned, and she'll play something like knight e1, knight c2, for example.
Yeah, until rook is protected, so you don't have any tactics with knight a6 or something.
And I was looking at knight c2, but it's very risky. My knight is totally misplaced, and also d6 is vulnerable to rook b2, and somewhere rook b6 is coming. So this I rejected, and I also looked at queen c7, which at first sight looks good. I threatened knight c6 or rook b8, and for some time I didn't really see what she'll do. But then I realized that after rook a3, rook b8, and queen c3, this is the only move, my position is actually worse. She threatens rook a5.
Yeah.
If knight e2, then take queen c3, rook a8, and she gets too many pieces for the queen. So black is pretty much forced to do this. Queen c4, queen c4. Unfortunately, rook a3 loses because just queen c7, rook a1, king h2, and I lose a piece.
Yeah.
Queen c4, knight c4, and I'm basically just losing a pawn. And maybe I can try to hold on, but I think it should be objectively losing. So in fact, after queen b4, black is on the verge of losing, which was kind of a shock because I just thought before she played it that my position was good. Okay, well, the last move is knight b7. Rook a8, queen a8. And rook a3, I'm pretty much forced to play queen c8. And yeah, I mean, I thought maybe it's possible, but I thought it's a very risky position. Even there's ideas like rook c3, and the problem is knight c5, there's even tactics like knight e5 coming. Or here queen b6 looked very good. Because b7 is, I mean, I can't really move my knight, and all my pieces are hanging.
Yeah.
Kind of rook a7 comes. So finally I decided I have to do knight c4, which kind of leads to this forced variation. I play queen a1, And okay, it's clear I mean, this pawn I can't defend. But I'm trying to just create threats based on my active queen and knight. And it doesn't look like it should work, but maybe I have chances. Of course, king h2 is simply bad for white because of queen f1.
Yeah.
And if she plays queen e1, then probably I can go back, and I don't see anything better than queen b4.
Yeah.
Of course, if she's forced to retreat her knight, and if she doesn't win this pawn on the spot, then my position should be fine. And then there was another option, knight e1, which is actually quite serious. Of course, it looks a bit passive, but well, you know, just the d6 pawn is hanging, and that's the most important thing. And I was planning rook c8. Yeah. So of course queen d6 doesn't work because rook c4, queen d7, rook c1. So there's two moves here. There's knight d6, and there's knight b6 also. So knight d6, I will play rook c1, and my threat is simply rook b1, queen d2, rook d1 with a perpetual. For example, if king h2, well, I thought I had a draw here, but I just noticed in move knight c2. Okay. Oh no, but there's rook h1, of course, yeah, going back.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this should be fine for me. So I thought after rook c1 I have enough counterplay. There's also a threat of knight d3, and, well, I mean, with all these active pieces I have chances. But if knight b6 is a very critical move, because, well, she just is, you know, attacking my bishop, and rook b8, queen d6 will win. So I thought I have to play rook c7, which, if knight d7, rook d7, I think I'm holding on. So the critical move is queen d6 and rook c1. And I thought I can make a draw here. If knight d7, rook e1, queen e1, king h2, queen f2. And, well, I saw this variation, and of course there's perpetual, but yeah. I'm not sure if white has any more than that. Yeah, still.
It doesn't look like it.
It looks like it should be a draw.
Yeah.
But of course it's possible I'm missing something here. I mean, it's a very risky position, and just one strong move from white could change the, yeah. So she played rook e1, queen a2, and I thought my position was okay. First of all, knight d6 is not good because of knight d3, which attacks everything. And queen d6, I saw many options here, but finally I decided I should play knight d3, threatening knight e1, queen f2, rook f1 is forced, I think. Queen c4, queen d7, queen e4, and I think I'm holding this position fine. I mean, the pawn is passed, but knight f4, and I also have a lot of ideas with my active pieces. So I thought my position is perfectly fine because knight d3 is a threat, but she played a very good move, knight fd2. And I realized that, of course, now knight d3 doesn't work because queen b1, and everything's defended, queen b1, rook b1, and I'm just losing on the spot because d6 hangs. So I was already quite low on time, and position is pretty desperate. I mean, there's really not many options for black. You know, if queen d6, it's over. So I had to choose a move, and there were three options I was looking at. One was, well, I shouldn't really say looking at because I didn't have time to look very deeply. I had only about 7 minutes at this point.
But so far, she's playing a really good game.
Yeah, I think so. She's playing very accurately. Yeah. So rook a8, and the point is if queen d6, I have bishop b5, which seems to be attacking some pieces. If queen b4, bishop c4, knight d3. And if queen e5, I have knight d3, and things are working well for me. So after bishop b5, probably it's good for black, although I can't say for sure. And, well, it's hard to say what the problem with this move is. Maybe it was stronger. I was choosing between rook c8 and rook a8, and I thought rook c8 is more natural because I attack her knight. But maybe finally rook a8 makes some sense. Queen b7, is an option. Yeah, it's quite a wild position actually. Yeah. So I mean, I have knight d3, and you know, there's a lot of tactics in this position. Knight c5 is an idea, and yeah, really, I'm not sure. I mean, maybe the point of rook a8 is to avoid her move rook e3. Well, maybe I can play her queen c2 and I have rook a1 ideas. But yeah, I really have no idea. Everything's hanging.
Yeah.
But my move seemed logical because I thought, okay, I'm still not threatening knight d3 because of queen b1, but I am possibly planning queen c2 and knight d3.
So what was the attempt situation at this point?
Yeah, after rook c8, I'm not sure. Maybe I had 5 minutes.
Versus?
Yeah, it's not much time in such a position.
How much time did she have?
She had
Roughly.
plenty of time, maybe 20, 25 minutes.
Okay.
So of course knight d6 is not good. I mean, I have knight d3, I have rook c2, everything. So queen d6 looks very logical at first, but bishop b5, queen e5, knight d3, and things are working for black. If queen f5, probably I have a few good moves, but I thought just rook f8, and actually I win a piece. And
yeah, it's probably the only difference between rook a8 and rook c8 line you had before.
Yeah,
queen f5 move. Yeah.
But here, well, maybe she can make a draw, but I think only black can be better here.
Okay.
And I was trying many different moves for white during the game. And I was trying some queen trades like queen a3. Although here, probably black can hold this endgame because d6 isn't hanging anymore. I have king f8, king e7.
Yeah.
Or I thought queen c2 is also a possibility. Or queen a5. Here I'm sure I can just take in rook c2. So in fact, I didn't see many ideas for white. Because okay, she can play king h2 with the idea knight d3, queen b1 again. But I thought queen c2 I can do. In fact, well, probably I just can. Yeah, rook c4 is always an idea when she plays king h2, but
yeah, because
unfortunately there's queen d2, and I don't think well, at least it should be very difficult for black to hold this endgame.
Yeah.
But yeah, queen c2 probably is a good move, and this is always good, I think. Just too many pieces are hanging. You know, we always have something like this. Yeah, but she played another good move, rook e3, which where you know I didn't really see what to do at first, because again, she's very solid. Her knights are all protected, and okay, if queen a1, king h2, again it's not clear what's next.
Yeah, now you don't have these knight d3 ideas anymore.
Yeah. This is what my next move was. The idea of this move was queen c2 and knight d3 is a threat. Or, I guess knight d3 is only a threat. And again, I thought my position was fine. I was looking at this again.
Okay, still.
Queen f5, rook f8. And I thought I'm doing fine. I was wondering if maybe my king was a bit exposed here, but oh, okay, g6. Yeah, so after in this position, actually, what happens after knight a3? Yeah, it's kind of different here. Maybe this doesn't work anymore.
But can you just play queen c1?
Queen c1 and queen a3. And yeah, I guess I keep my piece finally.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I saw this or not. Actually, it's all a bit blurry. Although I'm not sure if it's all forced. And yeah, I can probably first take here, and if knight c4, then knight d3 is working well.
Yeah.
again, there's queen g3. Yeah, probably this knight d3 is a forced variation.
Yeah, this position is a lot more complicated than it kind of looks on the surface.
Yeah, well, of course, I'm just holding my position together with tactics. I mean, if I don't have any of this, then I'm just losing d6 and d5 and everything goes. So she played king h2, which you know, also puts me in a kind of uncomfortable position, because now knight d6 is a threat. For knight d6, the previous move, there was always something like here and rook c1, and who knows what's happening here. Probably white's getting mated. But king h2 and yeah, knight d6 is suddenly an idea. And so I was thinking about moves like queen d1, but it all seemed like it shouldn't work. Queen d6, bishop e5, queen e5, knight e2, but I didn't trust my position at all. So finally, it seems like she's played all the accurate moves, and I'm running out of ideas. So I had to play knight d3. And again, if here, and I'm attacking c4, and in this position, well, at least black has a lot of counterplay.
Yeah, well, his king is weak at least.
Yeah. But of course, the problem is queen b7. And at first I thought I can play knight c5 and she has to repeat, but unfortunately she has this new square, queen b6. But I think I'm pretty much forced to play knight c5 because well, this doesn't work very well.
No.
Yeah, so knight c5 is a totally forced move, and queen d6. And queen d6 is a threat. And not many moves for black.
Yeah. So
I had to go back. And knight d6 is the problem now. Of course, she couldn't do this when her queen was attacked on b4. But now it just doesn't work. It's just time to resign. Queen f2 has some kind of pin, but it's the end.
Mm-hmm.
So rook f8 was the last. Well, I mean, I also had moves like rook a8, but I thought that this is too shaky. Queen b7. I mean, there's a few squares for my rook, but I thought the only safe one is rook f8. And I think probably this was quite a good move. I didn't actually see what to do, because queen f2, rook d3 is winning, just a piece up. And knight f2, knight e5, well, I didn't really see what to do. I mean, my knight's kind of active, but I don't have any threats. And d7 is hanging, and she's up a pawn. So, well, I'm not sure if there's anything to do besides resign here. But, yeah, it just looks like it's winning.
Yeah.
But after this move, I suddenly thought I have some chances after knight f2. Because knight e5, queen d2, knight d7, I move my rook. And although it's probably a very bad position, there's always some threats, some tricks with rook c1. And her pieces are kind of hanging too. If rook g3, I might have some ideas like queen f4, or objectively it should be bad in this case also. But at least there's some mess. She was also kind of getting low on time at this point. She had maybe 5 minutes, 4 minutes, and it's not so easy anymore. I have a queen d1 idea, or queen c1. For example, if queen b3, which looks very nice at first sight, queen c1 is coming, and queen h1 is a threat. Or I was looking at rook g3, knight e4, queen e4, queen f6, g6, knight e5. But I thought maybe I can play queen f5 and hold on. Who knows? At least it's not totally clear. There's queen d6. Of course, it's very dangerous here also. Or even knight g4 is an idea. Well, this was another option, but I thought that I have some chances. Maybe instead of queen f5, bishop f5. Oh, this d pawn is very dangerous, though. Yeah. Well, there's not much good to say about black's position in any case.
No, it's just a matter of white can pull through.
Yeah. Well, she played queen b1, which it's a good practical choice. I mean, in time trouble, to just simplify the position and get what seems to be a winning position.
Yeah.
Because, well, I have to take, because queen a4, 95. Well, I just see this move queen d4, but yeah, it seems unlikely it can work here or something. So I have to take knight b1, and well, there's a lot of problems. I mean, e5 is hanging, the d pawn is very strong, and my knight on f2 looks really ridiculous. If f6, probably knight c3, and my knight is pretty much trapped. Rook c8 never works because knight b6. And f5, unfortunately, there's just knight e5. And next knight g6, and well, it just seems losing for black. So I didn't see much option besides bishop b5. Well, the idea is always knight e5, rook e8. I regain the pawn, and probably I'm holding.
Yeah, you should hold.
Yeah, so knight a3 looks normal, bishop a6. Because here, well, again, e5 is hanging, and actually without the bishop, probably I'm just going to, she's just going to promote, because my knight can't do anything.
Yeah, looks a bit stranded over there.
Yeah. And d6 is coming. So I decided on this, which, well, this was the end of the time trouble phase.
Well, on the line before, this king g3 almost traps the knight.
Here, king g3?
No, before, but okay. When you exchange when you exchange bishops. Before.
Oh, you mean here, right?
It doesn't matter, but
okay.
Yeah.
Bishop a6.
Should be winning, right?
Yeah, I have a feeling it's just a winning position here. But it's not so easy. Because, well, if she can't trap my knight, then I can cause some trouble with it. And I also thought that maybe I have a chance to play f6 and then to take on e4 and also to win the d5 pawn. And then with 4 against 2, down a piece, I should probably make a draw. But I wasn't very optimistic about my chances here. Okay, there's king g3 as a possibility. And I was mainly, well, of course there's knight h1, but this is kind of looks pretty pathetic. And, well, maybe knight d1 is a forced move. Rook d3, rook c8. And this was kind of what I was counting on. Although I doubt it works. d6, knight b2. And well, here I surprisingly win.
Okay.
But yeah, maybe here I hold on miraculously, because rook c1, bishop a6. This endgame seems okay.
Yeah.
Relatively.
So let's go to the game continuation. Knight takes e5.
Yeah, so knight e5. Well, maybe this was already a mistake.
Yeah, and I think the computer said around here knight a to c4 or something.
Knight here's knight c4.
Or maybe
but here I think I can take and rook e4. I think this just draws.
Yeah, maybe it was a bit later.
The d6 makes sense. Bishop b7. Yeah, of course, knight f7.
Here, knight c4.
Yeah, knight c4 was the move I was mainly looking at.
Yeah.
The point is if knight e4, d7, rook d8, knight a5 wins material. But I thought I can play bishop d5. And if knight c6, rook d7. Knight d7, bishop c6, and I was hoping I can draw this endgame.
Yeah.
At least it seems like a success to even get it.
So perhaps
knight b4 is also fine for black.
Sure. Knight takes f7 was a mistake. Or
yeah, knight f7 was of course a mistake. I mean,
yeah.
It feels like it should be winning here, but after knight f7, it just all turns into a draw.
Yeah, it looks like.
Rook f2, bishop e4 also. I mean, it's hard to imagine I'll lose this. The d6 pawn is going to fall at some point. And in the worst case, she'll win g7 somehow, but 2 against 1 is a draw. And knight b5, maybe she missed rook b8.
Yeah,
But
okay.
at this point, it's just all a draw.
Yeah.
And
Well, at
yeah,
least she made you work for it.
yeah, it was
It was a tough game.
yeah, it was a tough draw.
So they drew already. Okay, so congratulations, you're
Thanks.
the sole winner of the tournament. Had you just finished now, or?
A little bit earlier, actually. When
Yeah.
we started.
Okay. 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 How are we doing on time?
We're good.
We're good.
I mean, yeah. Congratulations, winner of the tournament.
Thanks.
So I wonder, are all the games finished? Do we have the final standings?
Yeah.
Still a few games.
Yeah, still a few games, but okay.
And there are other standings.
Yeah. Yeah, there are still unfinished games, but it's clear at the top. Fabiano Caruana finished with 7.5.
Just scroll it down.
Yeah. Fabiano with 7.5, and then a lot of people with 7 points, which will split some prizes. Top Icelander was Danielson, and I thought Stinkerson had. No, he had 6.5. Okay, so Danielson, the top Icelander with 7. Okay, I think we're good for now. Thank you for showing us your game. And once again, congratulations. Well, maybe a few words about playing in open tournaments. We were talking before about players, in the top. Most of them don't play in open tournaments. Your reasons for playing?
Well, I would like to play everywhere I can. And, for me, it's, of course, there's a different requirements in open tournaments and closed tournaments. Here you have to try to win as many games as possible, or you have no chances to win the tournament.
Yeah.
And it also has its own challenges, because winning with black against 2650 or higher players is also not easy. And there were many strong players in this tournament who I had to face.
Yeah.
So I think it has its own challenges. Of course, it's different from a top tournament than like Waganze, but
The losses are more expensive, definitely, in the open tournaments.
yeah, if you lose a game here,
Yeah,
it's not easy to get back.
exactly. Yeah, we already talked about the norms. We had 2 IM norms, I believe. And yeah, unfortunately, we had one Icelandic player who had chances for a Grandmaster norm, but unfortunately, he didn't get the pairing he needed in the last round. So that was a shame, but I think the strength is there. So in the future, we hope he will get his norms. But so for me, Ingvar Jónsson, and for the other commentators during the tournament, Sam Williams and Björn Þorfinnsson, I thank you for watching, and I hope to join you next year in the Reykjavik Open. Thank you very much.